Hello! For today's video, I had such a clear idea of what I wanted to make, but then nothing really worked out the way I wanted it to. So I'm sorry in advance, this one is kinda chaotic. But who knows, maybe you'll enjoy my suffering and failure. Anyway, I had this idea of making a tortoise. Tortoise. I don't like this word, tortoise. Can I say turtle instead? I'll call it a land turtle. Okay, so my idea was to give it these horns on the shell. I only realized later that this kind of looks like Bowser from Mario, and I hate that. So that was probably my first mistake. But I wanted to create this kind of mandala around the horns, and that was what sparked my creativity and kept me going anyway. Okay, so let's start bringing this turtle to life. I'm starting out with my gardening wire. I'm twisting it around itself to make it a bit more durable, and then I form the legs. I made the same shape twice for the front and the hind legs, making sure they're roughly the same size. Now that that's looking good, I'm taking another piece of wire to connect both of these pieces together. I'm adding two more pieces, one in the front to make the armature for the head and one in the back for the little tail. And then we are already done with the wire, thank God. Now I'm taking some aluminium foil to create the shell. I'm making a nice firm ball so that it fits nicely onto the armature. Off cam, I glued the aluminum foil to the armature. That's when I realized that my turtle is kinda small compared to my other characters, like for example Eberhard. So I decided to make another one. So now we have two turtle siblings. I decided to mainly film the process for the smaller turtle. Even the most patient person would probably click off when they had to watch me do everything twice. I'm covering the whole turtle in one small layer of clay. Then I'm rolling out this little sausage that I'm gonna lay around the edge of the shell to make, the typical turtle shell form. And look at that, Big Turtle Brother is already done as well. Looks pretty good and turtly so far. So now it's time to start adding some more details. I'm starting out by adding some little circular eyes to the face and the little head horn thingies. And now things are gonna start to go downhill a little bit. So I decided to draw the pattern for the mandala on roughly so that I know where to place the horns on the shell. Oh my god, I guess I was in a rush when cutting this video, everything goes so fast. So I added most of the horns off cam, and I also added these cutesy toes. Oh yeah, and Big Brother as well, of course. And I think they look really cute and cool so far. And now it's time for the paint job, and that's where I messed up again and again and again. It started out quite nice with this pretty dark rich green that I actually quite like. So I covered the turtle's body completely with that color. And then I made an awful choice. Because instead of sticking to my plan, I decided to paint the shell yellow. But not just any yellow, this super bright, in-your-face, sunflowery, radioactive kinda yellow. But I ignored the fact that this already looks awful, and I decided to sketch out the mandala pattern with a red Posca pen instead. But I quickly realized that this looked atrocious. Not only did the shape not really work, at this point I also realized how ugly the colors were. I tried a different pattern as well, but that looked even worse, so I ditched everything and repainted the whole thing off cam. So I painted the body in this light fleshy pink that looks even worse in combination with the yellow. So I repainted it again and made the shell reddish orangey. And then I had these geyser splits that told me these kinda look like toadstool mushrooms. They could be toadstool turtles. So I ditched my whole plan and went with that instead. I was already so over these freaking turtles, so I just wanted to get this over and done with. Bear in mind, of each color I did at least 5 coats on each turtle to make them opaque. Okay, I'm done with complaining now. As you can see, I painted the body and the horns in this off-white mushroom kind of color, and then I decided to give them a very simple face with just a few brown details. I figured the shape with all the horns is already busy enough and it doesn't really need anything more. So I just painted their head horns brown, gave them some very simplistic eyes, and then they both got a cute little smile. And now you can watch me stretch the last few minutes of this video, because for some reason when I cut the footage, I cut out so much and made everything go so fast that even though the making of these freaking turtles was probably the longest of any of my sculptures, but I was so fed up that I cut almost all of it out or did it off cam. So I don't have that much footage and this video is still kinda short. I'm not happy with what I made this week, but it's all a learning process, and I can assure you that the next video is gonna be really cute. I imagine these turtles being brothers. They kind of look like whimsical little woodland creatures. Not what I wanted, but still kind of a cute idea. Their names could be Todd and Frederick. Yeah, they're Todd and Frederick. They're toadstool turtles. Toadstool turtles, Todd and Frederick. That's cool. They're cute. Yes, I do like them, kinda. Okay, so let's varnish these turtle brothers to protect the 500 coats of paint, and then we're done. I think Todd is the big brother and Frederick is the smaller one. They live in a little forest. Their favorite food is mushrooms, I guess. Oh, they look like toadstool mushrooms as a self-defense. Yeah! And when they're in danger, they just pretend to be mushrooms. Now that's high concept right there. I just came up with that on top of my dome. Top. Anyway, I just came up with that. And I think it's brilliant. No, it's kind of stupid. I'm tired. Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, thanks for watching. Bye.